cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
Time to take things easy and groovy on this lovely Wednesday here on the Afternoon Karak with myself, Mikhail Atiyah. If you're wondering where Aisha is, where's the banter, the debate, the constant disagreements, that we guys know and love here on the show, don't worry, Aisha is out on a well-deserved vacation, and we'll be seeing her next week. And I'm excited because this Friday is going to be WandaVision Episode 8, and if you've been following up with us on that show, it's been getting crazier and crazier with each episode, and I cannot wait to share the next review with her when she comes this Sunday, Episode 8 of WandaVision. But until then, you guys have me and I have you right here on the show. You can always tune in to our YouTube channel. Yes, we do have a YouTube channel at Pulse and 95 Radio. We have our live stream up right now, so you can join in, even text on the chat or text us through your phone through 4215 Itsalat or do. So what are we talking about this hour? Well, we got a really exciting announcement from Sony themselves. They just announced the confirmation for a PlayStation 5 virtual reality headset. That's a big deal. What are the details? What can we expect? Is there going to be a new controller? What can the headset achieve? Or is there going to be higher resolution? Well, don't worry. I got all of the details for that and so much more. Also, an industry insider claims that the Nintendo Switch Pro is an actual thing. It's happening, and it's going to be coming out this year. And he has a little bit of information about what the specs really are. And let's just say maybe it's just as good as the next-gen consoles themselves. I know Aisha would be really happy about this. Also, I'm going to be talking about Google Stadia. They are suffering from a class action lawsuit regarding their claims that their games can run 4K and 60 FPS. And we all know Google Stadia hasn't really fulfilled very promising they haven't fulfilled their promises as usual. So this comes to no surprise. However, I'll be talking about it and giving you guys all the details for that and so much more. Again, guys, if you want to join the conversation, don't forget, text us 4215 and to Salat do. Would always love to hear from you guys. This is a lovely Wednesday right here on Pulse 95.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
PlayStation has, for the past couple of years, been supporting the virtual reality market by really creating their own product line for the PlayStation virtual reality headset. It took me a couple of years to personally buy it myself because I knew at the time it felt like an early adopter sort of piece, and it didn't have the right kind of games to justify the purchase. But over the years, the tech itself has been refined, and even the library of games have expanded to a really substantial amount. And it was until then, it was like 2-3 years after it released, that I finally bought it myself. And I kind of get the hype behind VR and the potential it has to give off, to provide a unique and really sensational experience that gamers are always dying to look for. It's the reason why we play games in the first place. So, hearing some really great news. This is a recent blog that came out from PlayStation Blog from the Senior Vice President of Platforming and Planning Management, Hideki Nishino. They just announced the details, the first ever details on the next generation of VR system that is going to be coming for the PlayStation 5. In a way, I kind of anticipated this because the commercial success they got from the first PSVR kind of showed that, yeah, Sony wants to continue doing this. And maybe the first hint of it all was the fact that if you've seen the accessory bundles that come with the PS5, there's an HD camera. Now you can use that for streaming, but I know it has probably a different purpose on its own, and it's definitely to support the upcoming PlayStation VR headset. And even the job listings we talked about here on the show, there were previous job listings, even patents about some of the potential technology that they're going to be utilizing for this headset. But what do we know from what they are confirming? The fact that they confirmed this is great. This is great news. But what can we expect? Well, he goes on to say that we're continuing to innovate with our new VR system so that fans can continue to enjoy the unique experiences that are synonymous with PlayStation. They have learned since launching the first PSVR that there's a lot to develop for the next VR system, things to improve such as resolution, field of view, to tracking and input, and even hopefully to basically just connect the PlayStation 5 and the PSVR with a single cord to simplify and improve ease of use while enabling a high fidelity visual experience. This is great news. The fact that, first off, there's going to be great improvement in graphic fidelity and resolution and field of view. And the biggest hassle that VR headsets usually have is the countless amount of cable setups that you have to put. The fact that it's just going to be one single cord setup is the best news about this. And now you're asking, what about the controls? Because we know that the PSVR uses the PlayStation Move controllers, which are really, really out of date. These came out on the PlayStation 3, and they just got retrograded into the PSVR, and they just use very simple light tracking. Well, they have said that they're building a whole new controller that is based on the DualSense wireless controller, along with a focus on great ergonomics. This is definitely what I wanted to hear. The fact that we're getting an entirely new controller for it is going to be the biggest, I would say, game changer to it. And they even go on to say that this is just some of the examples for the future-proof technology that they're hoping to develop to match the vision for the whole next-gen VR games and experience. He also says at the end, he says that the system is still under development and won't be coming out this year. Understandable. I knew that even when the PSVR came out, it was like maybe 2 to 3 years since the PlayStation 4 got released. I hope that it doesn't take that long. Maybe we'll get to actually see a trailer for it sometime in E3, but there's also the State of Play that's coming out tomorrow. But besides that, we're gonna have to just wait and see. But I'm really glad that this is an announcement and that it's confirmed, because it just seemed like the most obvious progression for the PlayStation 5, and I cannot wait to get more details. I can't wait to just look at it and see what it looks like, especially those controllers. That's for me the biggest critique, in my opinion. But what, guys, let me know. Text me 4215. It's Slaughter Dude. Would always love to hear from you guys. Have you tried the PlayStation VR? What's your opinion on it? And what about any other VR in your experience? Have you tried those as well? Text me again, 4215. It's a Salat or Do. Can't wait for any news or updates. And if there is any, I'll be sure to highlight it here on the afternoon cut. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break, and coming up next, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of a claim from an industry insider who says that, yeah, there is a next-gen Nintendo Switch in the making, and it probably has really, really good, substantial upgrades to the specs. Something comparable to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. We have a lot of gaming news happening this hour, so be sure to stay locked and stay tuned right here to Pulse 95.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
On Pulse 95.
To make a long story short, I have this sort of a deal with Aisha that I would eventually get my hands on a Nintendo Switch. And I was supposed to fulfill that deal back in August. But in a miraculous way, there were some rumors, some leaks, possibly speculations that there is a new Nintendo Switch in development. It's being codenamed by a lot of people as the Nintendo Switch Pro. And so I remember back in August, I told her, listen, let's hope that we get any news on Nintendo Switch Pro. And if it does get confirmed, that's when I will buy the Nintendo, the next Nintendo. And so you could say our deal got sort of, it got a little bit reformed. It's still there. I hope to honor that deal when the day comes. But for now, there's a new report from an industry insider, and this comes from Nate Drake on the Reset Era forums, who claims, according to him, that the updated version of the console is set to release later in 2021. The user even goes on to say that if the console itself gets delayed until 2022, they will be informed of it in the upcoming month. Now, for him to say that it's coming out this year makes me question why Nintendo hasn't even announced anything soon right now. So is it going to come out at a October, November release? And if that's the case, why are they not talking about it now? We just had the Nintendo Direct recently, last week, and there was no hints that there was something like this in development. And Nintendo, of course, will always kind of be hush-hush about it until the time is right for them speaking, But then again, maybe we're hoping that sometime in E3 again, E3 showcase, that's when they're going to probably reveal it. We don't know. In addition, the industry insider goes on to say that the updated version of the console will utilize something called the NVIDIA DLSS technology, which is basically a graphic card. And the graphic card alone is pretty powerful. Like, some of the stuff it can do is support 8K gaming with dynamic scaling to enhance game graphics and even further capabilities. But I don't want to get too technical. There's also the fact that it could support a 4K functionality as well, which means that the screen itself will probably even be more enhanced. But then again, with this graphic card and this new proclaimed updated resolution, could it really be at par with the next-gen consoles like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X? Actually, in my opinion, that's really not Nintendo's concern. For them, what really matters is creating enough performance to develop their games the way they want to develop it. Because they're not really, I've always seen Nintendo, and I speak about it a lot of the time, that they're a company that don't really compete with anybody else. It's more like they compete with themselves. They're always like looking at how they can really up their game on the next console. The Wii U was such a confusing product that came out back in 2011. I think so. No, 2013. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, that was something that at the time felt like an experimental version to the Nintendo Switch, which finally achieved the hybrid of a console and a portable device all at once. So it is coming to a point where the console's life cycle is in much need of an upgrade. And so I know deep down, even though Nintendo doesn't talk about it, and despite all of the leaks and rumors, there is possibly a console in development. But we're not going to be hearing about it anytime soon. I hope it's going to be at the E3 showcase event in June, but then again, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before many times. My job here is to keep you guys up to date with any of the details or trends or speculations that are going on the internet. But you guys let me know if you yourself own a Nintendo Switch. Do you feel like we should have an upgrade upgraded version to this console, or it's perfect as it is and it should last you another 5 to 10 years? Or has it really reached the point where, yeah, this needs to be upgraded, the tech is out of date? If they're going to make games that are far more ambitious and require greater performance, greater resolution, greater graphic fidelity, then that means we really do need a new Nintendo Switch, as the one they're calling it, the Switch Pro. And if hopefully that gets announced, I know I have to honor my deal with Aisha and buy it when it comes out. But until then, we're just going to have to wait and see. We're going to be taking a bit of a break, and coming up next, I'm going to be talking about Google Stadia's class action lawsuit. You know, their claims of being able to play their games on 4K and 60 FPS. Well, it seems like that's not entirely the case. And because of that, they're going into legal trouble because of it. So be sure to stay locked and stay tuned right here to the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
At this point, what is there to be said about Google Stadia, Google's take on cloud gaming? It was supposed to be the great next gen of gaming, where all you had to do is just open up your mobile or any of your electronic devices. Well, not any, but basically it was going to be the Netflix of gaming, you could say. You just pop into Google Stadia, stream your game, and you're good to go. But everyone knows that wasn't really the case. It suffered from a disastrous launch. The games on their platform couldn't even perform all that great, and it required really good internet bandwidth. And even then, there would be frame drops, there would be frame issues, performance issues. And just recently, they even closed up some of their first-party developing studios, just because they don't really see the need to make their own exclusive video games. There was this whole promise of making all sorts of exclusive titles to entice people to jump into the Google Stadia bandwagon. But it's been over a year now, and all I hear is just bad news. And I got more bad news for Google Stadia, because they've been hit with a class action lawsuit, and it has to do with their 4K, with their claims that their games would be able to be played on 4K and would be able to play on 60 FPS. And this was a promise they made at launch, that these games are going to be able to play with such great performance. But that wasn't the case. Everyone knows that didn't really happen. And because of this, it's seen as unfair and deceptive trade practice. And it is a 42-page suit that targets not only Google, but also the developers id Software for their game Doom and Destiny's Bungie, stating that all three companies have misled people in some capacity about Stadia's ability to run all games in 4K and at 60 FPS. It was originally filed back in October 2020, but has just gained some attention after being transferred to federal court. Now, id Software was targeted in initial claims, but now all three companies are hit with this class action lawsuit. Basically, it's saying that id Software and Bungie and Google have wrongfully generated millions of dollars of revenue as a result of the allegedly misleading claims. And that, I can guarantee, is the truth. They really did that. You can look at some of the stuff they posted back on their Twitter, saying, for example, Doom Eternal's coming to Stadia, 4K with HDR and 60 frames per second. But that definitely wasn't the case. And probably to this day, I don't think it even performs that good. Now, the suit also cites various other tweets from Stadia and also from the vice president of Google Stadia, Phil Harrison, one that states that all of these games would be able to run at launch, but that wasn't the case either. The lawsuit is seeking to cover anybody in the United States who purchased the Stadia Founders Edition the Stadia Premier Edition or the Stadia Pro Sub, which the plaintiff claims they and many others purchased based on information and reports contained online that Stadia was more powerful than any leading gaming consoles and would display all the games at 4K resolution. So hopefully, they're also going to be seeking a bunch of financial compensation, including damages, attorney fees, disgorging of all profits, benefits, and other compensations. It's hard to say that Google Stadia is going to come out of this clean, but then again, we're going to have to leave those to the lawyers to decide in the court itself. But this is a class action lawsuit that has, in a way, it's sort of like karma. It was coming either way, because you can't, especially with gamers, in my opinion, you can't get away with marketing, misleading, features, saying, "Oh, it's gonna run perfect. You're gonna have a great time playing this. Make sure you subscribe to our streaming service," and it doesn't achieve that. We know very clearly with CD Projekt Red and their own class action lawsuit of how misleading their own game was. And if you've seen Cyberpunk 2077 bugs on YouTube, it already tells you a lot about this. But I don't think they're just not gonna get away with it easy, in my opinion. And I really hope they learn their lesson. You know, worst comes to shove, I think Google will just completely, put Stadia down. Don't even bother with it. But then again, they do want to be there when the day comes when cloud gaming really picks up and people are actually using it, when people are utilizing 5G internet and all that. So I think they just have to bite their teeth and just endure all of the issues and future allegations that they have brought themselves into. You reap what you sow. Basically, that's the lesson that you'll learn from that. But you guys let me know. Text me 4215. It's a lot to do. Have you personally bought yourself or subscribed to the Google Stadia streaming service? And have you personally asked for a refund yourself? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you are enjoying it. But I hear a lot of claims on the internet. Those who are like fanboys, like they are defending Google Stadia. They admit that the platform suffers from a lot of issues, and that's not just about the technical issues, just the fact that there's not enough support for it. There's not enough games. It's a streaming service with not a lot of thought put into by Google. But then again, maybe you can argue otherwise. You can always join the conversation. Text me 4215. It's a lot to do. But that is it, guys, for the afternoon cut. I hope you enjoyed the hour. And if you missed out on any of our discussions, don't worry. You can tune in later today, because this show is going to be up on our YouTube channel. Yes, we have a YouTube channel. It's Pulse 95 Radio. And if you love what we do here, then support us by subscribing to that channel, commenting, liking, sharing, all of that good stuff. And if you just want to listen to our podcast, we got that covered too. You can go to our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Rami. Just type in Afternoon Karak and you're good to go. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope to see you again on the Thursday of the week as we wrap things up and sort of just bid farewell to this week and enjoy the weekend vibes. But until then, we have Yella Home, Anna Schofield, and Big Hats are going to keep you guys company and entertained from 5 till 8. And until then, I'll see you guys same time, same vibe, only here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.